Sworn from 2001 till 2019. Those are my years sworn, and I served for 3 different departments all in the same area: Round Lake Beach, Round Lake Park, Round Lake Heights. And yeah, I had a great time doing it. And yeah, it was a big eye-opening experience for life.
So you see these videos, and you've gone really viral a lot of times for, pointing out the good and the bad that police officers do, which is great. We need accountability, and that's the beauty of social media, is the transparency, accountability, and education you get on social media. Everybody always likes to point to the bad things. I think social media is a net positive by a lot. So I look at, kind of what you see going on, and there's a lot of these videos with female officers just getting, like 3 female officers getting destroyed by one dude who couldn't even, like, if you and I were to go one-on-one, it wouldn't be even close, even if we had no fighting experience whatsoever. So looking at physical fitness, do you believe that if we had more of a focus on physical fitness and resistance training and learning a fighting skill, such as boxing or jiu-jitsu or wrestling, do you think that would bring down the instances of police shootings?
100%. And it's on so many different tiers for this conversation. Number one, when you're trained, and it's the old bull and the young bull joke, and I'm sure you've heard that. For anybody who hasn't heard it, I first heard it from the movie Colors, which is about a police
beautiful movie
anyways. And you had an old bull and a young bull standing on top of a hill grazing, and they look down on this pasture of cows, and the young bull says, "Hey, let's go run down there and fuck one of those cows." And the young bull goes, "No, let's walk down and fuck them all." It's the point of it. It's like the wisdom, right? Now I became a cop at 26 years old. I used to work at Dakota's Bar and Grill, which was a 4 a.m. bar in the Schaumburg area back in the 90s. And we had fights every day of the week. And I was a bartender who loved to get in the brawls, and my ego was fed. So by the time I got to be a cop, that shit was kind of out of my system. And I worked in a very high tense town. We had a lot of problems at Chicago and Milwaukee. Chased out of. I just did a video the other day, and somebody's like, "You came from a 22 department town." It's like, no, I got all the shit that Milwaukee and Chicago chased out. That's where they moved. Cabrini Green had moved to beautiful Round Lake Beach, when they knocked that down. And I didn't have that need to prove myself. I think it's a couple different things. The first part is training. When you're trained, you do have that, I want to test this shit out. I want to test it out. You people, men especially, I love to fight. I'm 50, and I can guarantee you, not one motherfucker on this planet can take me. That's my mentality. But to be honest, I'm 50, and all somebody has to do is outlast me for 15 seconds. I'm very aware of that. But when it goes to that mentality, I love getting in fights, but I also know what I could do to somebody else. So I have no pleasure in taking somebody into custody and hurting them. I learned that very quickly on. I also learned very quickly on that police always win. They always win. And you see these people who that the only reason that somebody was taken into handcuffs is because they had a backup of 5 or 10 other squad cars that show up. Otherwise, they would have lost the fight. So I think the first place is your confidence. If you can get past the maturity, and this is why I'm not a fan of 21-year-olds becoming cops, and I think that people in their late 20s or early 30s should become cops. And all of a sudden, I don't need to prove myself. You show up on scene, you're trained, you know what you can do, right? Mm-hmm. There's that confidence level, which then transfers into the lack of confidence level. The reason I'm so hard on female cops, and I do not believe female cops should be in the street, doesn't mean that's my opinion. Doesn't mean they can't do the job. I mean, it's a blanket statement. They shouldn't be. When you put somebody in a position where they're not physiologically capable of defeating somebody bigger, stronger, faster than them, they're automatically going to escalate their use of force. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be justified for it. I just talked about this. There was a female, a Harris County deputy, that her partner, she shows up on scene and her partner's got somebody at taser point. He's activated the taser. The guy's not complying. And she comes out. She's clearly untrained. I guess she has 18 years on. She's a fucking shit show. She comes out. She's fumbled with her handcuffs. She cannot do anything to put this person into custody. And her partner, who is very untrained, very unhealthy, fat, is on top of this person. This person is preventing its fight or flight. This person is trying to flight at this point. He's resisting. She shoots him. She shoots him. She murders him because that's all she has left to do. So if we go back to me, if I'm a cop and I openly admit on a podcast and I'm sworn, well, if you outlast me for 15 seconds, I should be suspended. I should be suspended because now I'm admitting, well, I'm going to take Lobliner into custody. And Lobliner is the same size as me. He's in better shape than me, better cardiovascular shape than me. I'm going to have to escalate my force and go to a pistol.
Mm-hmm.
The law is going to back me up as long as I can articulate that. Well, I was in fear for my safety. My use of force dictates on what my suspect did. So if you amp up, I can amp up. But if you're amping up as resisting more, which means I can't stay in the fight and I have to go to my pistol as the equalizer, that's a lawful problem that we need to address in America. It's horrible. So to answer your question roundabout way, when you're squared away and I used to tailor my shirts. I used to wear schmediums, tailor the arms, go up. My boots were polished. I'm 5'7". I have an attitude, but I love to show up and be like, and have people go, oh, I'm not going to fuck around because I don't want to find out. Versus you look like a slob. You're fat. You're out of shape. People are not good. They're automatically going to start resisting you in your head because they don't take you seriously. And then you throw in the fitness component, the lack of training component. You are going to endanger the public by using force greater than what is necessary because you're a fat, useless, out of shape, untrained piece of shit. Sadly, we have a bootlicker crowd. Well, the person shouldn't have resisted. No, we need to place the onus first on cops and mandate that they be in shape and be fit and be trained. But that's not the case either.
So what would the solution be? Better standards? Would the solution be? So for example, I know Jocko Willink makes a point that the Navy SEALs train for like 8 months for like 2 weeks or some crazy ratio. I forgot what it was. So I'm obviously misspeaking on that. Do you think that there's a way to mandate the training? Do you think there's a way to do more frequent updates, increase the standards? What do you think would be so let's say you have a magic wand or you're a police chief. Let's say you go back and, by the way, I would like to say Brentwood PD, Brentwood, Tennessee has the most fit, jacked, and capable police officers in the world. Their police chief is big on fitness. They put in a state-of-the-art weight training facility. They enforce good nutrition. They keep supplements on hand for them, which we donate when we can. I will say that there are some departments that get it, and Brentwood, Tennessee is one of them. Shout out to them. So if you were the police chief, what would you do? Let's say you were given free reign to do what you want. There's no laws, no rules. What would you do?
100% mandate fitness. 100%. It's termination worthy. Fuck the unions. It is what it is. And I was part of that, where in my last department, we implemented a fitness standard, but it was only to force one guy out. That was it. He was in his late 50s. Nobody liked him. Well, I got along with him great, but the chief and the deputy chief wanted him out. So we implemented a fitness policy because we knew he wouldn't keep up with it. That's bullshit. If you look at other departments, I remember there's some southern state back in like the early 2000s that tried to implement a fitness policy, and the guys voted their chief out of no confidence. Unions will tell you. Unions come up with the biggest excuses on the planet. Well, we can't allocate an hour of training time for pay because we can't force guys to do that. And they come up with excuses like crazy. The power test in Illinois that I had to take to become a cop was a 1.5 mile run under like 13 minutes and 26 seconds, which I hated. I just don't like the run. A sit and reach test. I had to get like 57 sit-ups and then bench press 95% of my weight. That was it. I was required to do that to pass the test in order to take the written. And then I had to do it the first day of the academy to make sure, that was it. Never again in my entire career as a cop was I ever required to do a fitness test. Never. Wow. So it's pride. You come from the Chicago area. The ratio of disgusting, slovenly Chicago police officers to professional looking ones, it's not even well balanced. So you don't take yourself seriously. Again, I've said it. I am overweight. I am obese for a smaller guy. I'm 5'7", 235, plus 25% body fat. You look at yourself in the mirror and you see tits and you're like, oh, I have no pride in myself. Well, if I have no pride in myself, do you not think that's going to transfer into every other one of the standards I have? So we know that physiology dictates your psychology. If you're healthy and you're well, you're going to get a smarter trained officer. You're getting an officer who maybe cleans his squad car more, knows the law more, shows up on scene more, and acts professionally more versus the fat, slovenly, disgusting fucking pigs that we have on the street right now for cops who They just don't give a shit, and they fight their departments when it comes down to, I don't want to do this mandatory fitness. So I would mandate it. It would be 100%. If you are not jacked, if you are not fit, if your uniform is not tailored, if you do not look like a fucking stud on the street, you're suspended. You come back when you're able to do it. Standards, that is the biggest thing. When I went to the academy, I graduated in 2001. Champaign-Urbana, University of Illinois, a police training institute. We had this saying all the time. We hold ourselves to a higher standard. Do we? I've never fucking seen it. Never fucking seen it. I can't stand it. I made a statement, and all this time that's the goal of what I'm doing now with law enforcement content is I want these cops holding themselves to the highest standard possible. And people keep going, we got to pay them more. You got to do this more. You got to do that more. It blows me away to think of, so in order for me to hold myself to a higher standard, that means I have to put monetary value on it. Well, that's no integrity. If you're a cop and you enter into this profession, you know, A, it's thankless. B, you have the responsibility and or lawful authority to take away somebody's freedom anytime you can articulate it, or kill them anytime you can articulate it. And we want to humanize the badge and give these motherfuckers a break. It shouldn't. We should have the highest standards of any profession on the planet of our police, but we don't. We don't. And that's where we need to start. So it needs to be elevate the standards higher than anything else. And if you don't cut it, get the fuck out. And I don't care if we run a skeleton crew across America till it gets done right, it will get it right. It'll attract the people who have a level of pride to do this.
Wow. Well, that brings me. So I actually got a lot of slack once, probably a couple years ago, because I don't think it's fair in the military, and I don't think it's fair in police and fire that men and women are held to different physical standards. And let me explain.